Good morning. Welcome to day number 7 of our How to Sculpt Robot class. How to sculpt a robot. Today we're going to be getting into the lower body of our robot. The legs. Probably, I want to try to get all of it in, even the shoes. So, shoes, legs, waist, everything with the lower body. So, let's get into it. Before I get settled in here, I need my drill. There it is. Okay, so all conditioned, yeah? Got your clay conditioned, ready to go? Let's see. Okay. So, first things first, we have the wire kind of coming out the top here at a weird spot. We're planning to have this come through this backpack. That's where it's going to be needed to be anyways. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill a hole from here to here, and then we're going to feed that wire up through there. That way it's out of the way up here, and we can sculpt the waist without worrying about it. So grab ourselves a nice hefty drill bit here. You don't need to use a drill bit. You can just cut kind of a little hole with an X-Acto knife, and then kind of cut your way through with the X-Acto knife. But we're going to get that wire out of the way. There we go. Okay, on the bottom it's good. That'll go below the base. Okay, so first let us fill out the volume of this waist. We want this waist to be kind of this almost like separate part. You can kind of see it in our reference here. with all these other robots. You can see if you sculpted it, then no. No, if your wire is, it's more just getting the wire out of the way for what we're about to do. No, don't. And I drilled through an area that I know we're going to cover up because there's going to be that backpack that goes over there. So kind of like, I like how kind of like these ones look. You know, it's like this like pivotal turning set of hips that can turn. This one's got a good one too. You know, it's a contraption that can turn this way, but then the legs can also hinge that way. That's another good set of hips. This one's got an interesting set here. So we're just looking at this area below the torso. Get some ideas flowing. That's an interesting set there. This guy doesn't have hips at all. It's just, well, he does have this hips is right there. Yeah. That's in the shape of a pelvis. So. Okay. You get the idea. Okay, we're going to use aluminum foil to kind of fill out the volume. And a hot glue gun to get the foil to actually stick. So I've already plugged mine in. And let's grab some foil. Oops. I'm just going to take the foil and I'm just going to kind of create like almost like a biscuit shape that we can just kind of glue into place up here and then form. So I'm not going to compact it totally tight. I'm going to pack it kind of tight, but I want to make sure there's still some room that I can sculpt it and push it around. I don't want it to be totally tight. Oh, oops. I haven't glued it in place, so I want to make sure it's the right foil biscuit with C2 gravy. That's right. I'll make sure it fits and it looks good before we glue it in place. Okay. I'm just kind of pushing it back because, you know, we have to keep in mind there's going to be a layer of clay on top of this. And I'm also trying to keep the surface as flat or like kind of smooth as possible. So I'll probably take this out here. And I'm just going to roll it on the table to create that flattened plane surface. Like so. Do it on the back side too. Not super necessary, just the less, I guess, plainer the foil is, the more kind of clay work you're gonna have to do. We're just trying to save ourselves some work. Let's flip it around. All right. Yep, and so you can imagine we'll have that kind of that circle here where the hips can bend this way. You know, that gives us enough space. And this is just a separated part that can turn, you know, so the character's hips can kind of turn separate from the torso. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now we're gonna add a little bit of hot glue frosting on top of our biscuit here. And we're gonna stick it in place. Wonderful. I don't think I'll need this hot glue gun anymore, so I'm gonna go ahead and unplug mine and get it out of the way so I don't burn myself. I don't think we'll need foil either. But what we will need is a sip of coffee and a pasta machine. Oh, hey, Zeus. By the way, thanks for the gifted sub, man. I don't have alerts on during class time, but I will certainly give you... well, I already did thank you, but I'll thank anybody that subscribes, raids, or whatever after the teaching portion's done. So thank you very much. Yes, okay. So we got our pasta machine here. We got some clay that's already conditioned. If not, then you'll need to condition some. And we're going to roll out some material. There we go. I'm using the thickest setting, so we're just making a nice thick slab of clay here. I have the 150, that's right. All right, and we're gonna put some clay glue, some C2. And we're gonna just drizzle it on there. Spread it around with the brush. Now, I always like to get a little bit of overlap whenever I'm adding a new layer. I'll put the C2 kind of over these areas that are not that are already sculpted. That because I don't really know how the sculpting is going to go, and it's just good to kind of tie it all together anyways. So little extra C2, little overlap, if you will. Go ahead and get the bottom here. Okay. Now let's take our little slab of clay here. We're just going to wrap it around just like this. Just get our base layer of clay going. Since my back hatch will be open, I suppose I should cut that out now and move the wire. Like you're gonna be able to see into the back, like see like the inner workings of the robot. Okay, now I'm just kind of pushing this excess material onto this face here. All right. Now I'm really just pushing the clay down. We're not caring about how pretty it looks right now. We want to just make sure there's no like air pockets. I want it to be really firmly pushed down. So I'm pushing down, and I'm also pushing a little bit up to kind of get it tucked in under there. Yes, Jones. Yep. That's the first thing we did when I sat down here. We moved our wire out of the way. All right, good. So now our foil is totally covered and nice and secure on there. Now we're going to move forward with the kind of the shaping. We want to just get that base geometric shape, just like we did with the torso. Which I'm thinking will be kind of like a tiered cylinder. So it'll be a cylinder that'll have kind of like almost like 2 layers to it. I popped mine up through the neck. Do I need to move it back down through his back? Yes. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening up the back here and like hollowing out this inside of the torso. And that's where we're going to do all the lighting work, is going to be in here. And the lights, we're going to run the lights from here to the head using fiber optic cables. So our wire needs to be in the torso, not up at the head. So, yep, just go ahead and you know, if yeah, you should be able to get it back down there just by running it through. So, okay. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill any of the deeper cavities. So like I can see one right here. Just kind of fill it in. A bit right there too. The shape is almost there. Let's just start working it with our flat tool. Ooh, that's got Chivant on it. Wipe the Chivant on the pants. Nice and clean. This is why we always wear workshop clothing in the workshop. Okay, so seizing the flat edge of this, and we're just sliding it along here. After you do like your first pass, you'll see the areas that need to be filled in here. You know, we can see these little pockets, which you can keep smoothing and try to fill those in, or you can just add clay. Kind of like, it's the same process that happens when you sand, if you ever sand something. As soon as you do your first pass of the sandpaper, it reveals to you where the areas that are like too low. The highs and the lows are revealed. So we'll just go ahead and fill those in. And we're going to ignore the bottom edge. We're going to establish our plane first here, and then we establish the edge after the plane. Let me take my wooden shaper tool. Let's just blend these little pieces we added in first. Really, I just kind of removing the seam line between the clay. Otherwise, sometimes those seam lines will just kind of linger. All right, and now we go with this tool. And I'm going to go the other direction, which will be easier if the sculptor's upside down. Actually need to fill this in a bit more here. Had to do that because I was running into this leg armature. And we want our curve to kind of go from leg armature to leg armature. All right, let's give it a try. Okay, I think I'm gonna make our step down. We can either do this additively or we can try to do it subtractively, which is what I'm gonna do. Where get this pretty nice up here, so it's looking pretty good. And I'm gonna take this tool, I'm gonna use the edge of it, and I'm just gonna kind of push the edge down. Like that, to create that kind of like a telescoping part. Okay, I'm gonna push this down a little bit more firmly, so I'm gonna kind of go back over, and I'm just gonna kind of roll it and slide the tool. Just being a little more careful, a little bit more forceful though. Really push that plane back. All right, let's do the other side before we get too kind of ahead of ourselves here. Let's catch up the back side. Same process. I have to add more material here. I've run into my foil here a little bit, which we could ignore and try to make it work, or we can address it right now, which I think I'm going to do. Which, the way I usually deal with this is I take a real firm tool. We're just going to push that foil kind of in like this. And then refill that with material. Trust me, it always causes issues when you run into the foil. It's going to cause problems. It's better just to deal with it right away. Real quickly we can just deal with it there, and then no more struggle bussing. Yeah. Now I'm going to do the line again. Broke one of the pieces. Okay, that's one of our greeblies. Too much force on the greebly. Couldn't stand the pressure. Will you add more clay under here? We're gonna once we establish our sides here, we're gonna cut it. Where the foil is showing. Where's that exactly? Oh, this spot right here, this little spot. That's a little bit less of a problem because it's like hidden underneath this area here. So I don't think we'll have to deal with it. Okay, let me push this down a little bit more here. Hello, plank walker. Okay. Now let's take this tool and we're gonna figure out where this edge is. We could go straight with it, but I'm almost tempted to do a little bit of like almost like a pelvis shape. Let's go straight like this. And then a curve towards the leg here. Easier to do the curve upside down on the other side. We'll go ahead and mirror it in the back. Hey, Sunchan. When I do these lines like this, I'm in my peripheral. I'm paying very close attention to my destination. I'm almost paying more close to where I want to end up than what I'm actually doing. So I just kind of, always end up on the destination. Now we're not going to cut those because we have to address some shape issues here, like right here. So we need to fix the edge first before we cut the edge. How do you know how to get the front? Like making sure they're the same distance. You can measure that out if you want to. I don't. For some things I will, but for this kind of a character, it's not super crucial that they're exactly the same. If it was like a likeness piece, then I'm like, and it needs to be the exact, then I would measure it. Practice the old skill of eyeballing. Okay, I'm gonna go back over this, flatten this plane out. Redefine our line here. To do the same for the backside. Gotta kind of fix that edge. So we don't want to cut away the material until the face is looking good, because once we cut that edge, it loses that support of that edge. And it's much easier to distort the faces once the edges are cut. Go over with our tool here. Reestablish our lines. This one is not quite blended in. All right, I'm pretty happy with those shapes. Let's go ahead and cut it now. So I can either use this tool or we can use a knife. Sometimes it's best to do it in multiple passes. And I want to feel that the end of the tool is going all the way down to the foil. Right, other side. Excuse me. The reason you want to cut in multiple passes is it causes less distortion in the clay. The more you kind of put pressure on it, the more it will kind of distort the area around it as you're cutting. Oops. Hey, thanks a lot, Glad. I'm just gonna pull this bottom piece off because we're not gonna keep that there. Now, at this stage, I would refine and finish these plates and I would bake them. I'm gonna continue forward for the sake of the class, but you guys would finish this portion and bake it and then move on to the next part, which will be to sculpt the hips, kind of where these legs attached to this piece. And then this underside, the way I'll deal with this is I will cut the foil back, you know, so there's areas where the foil's kind of overhanging. I would cut that foil off and then just pack material under there and treat this under area like its own section. So you can add little greeblies and stuff down there, you know, maybe a place to change the oil, you know what I mean? So, but we're gonna go ahead and move on to the leg here and kind of how the leg contraption all hooks up. Let's see, I'm wondering if we should greebly it here. This is something I'll do if I'm a little unsure about the steps going forward. We're gonna just kind of sketch the area to kind of figure out what it is we actually want to do. No, you bake, you finish these plates, you texture them and detail them, and then you bake it. Then you cut the foil after it's been baked. And then you can sculpt the bottom side. Oh. Okay, so let's just sketch this in here. Hey, how you doing, Brock? Okay, he's kind of got a shoe. I like these thicker, kind of bulkier shin guards going on here. Kind of like a Space Marine style. Maybe a little bit more bell-shaped. So I'm using this to help me make a decision, and that decision is, do I want to make this part separated from the sculpture first, bake it, and then attach it? Usually the answer is yes for those kinds of questions. Not for the foot, but for this hip, like if that's gonna be a little cylinder like that. But I wonder, maybe, let's see how it looks if it's like a kind of like a half circle, a sphere. I think I like that better. Okay. Let's take this off and we'll do it for real. Let's add our clay glue. Just a drop. Let's see if we can get the right amount right at the start here. gonna smoosh it in there. All right, and now this one will be our friend here. We're gonna just do this kind of rolling motion. I'm not sliding it, I'm just rolling the tool. Just like an armor smith, you're just defining the shape. This is our hammer. So it's all about shape. And then once we have the shape where we want it to be, then we can start figuring out the details. That's looking pretty close. Now, normally, so in your guys's, this foil will not be here, and you'll be able to actually sculpt the inside portion too. So you get under there, and you can make this kind of sphere go all the way around. I can't do that because I haven't baked this yet, so I'll have to do that later. Okay, let's see. I have that big ball stylus somewhere around here. I'm gonna use this. A lot of tool sets come with like those really big ball styluses that you think might not be useful for anything, but this is the one kind of case where it is and can be useful. So I'm gonna look at kind of how the hip will bend. And we're just going to line it up right about there, and we're just gonna give it a nice firm push and with a twist. Ta-da. right? Now I'm going to think about how everything works. Where things move, there needs to be seam lines where things move. So I'm going to go like this. Could even see doing let's make this line a little deeper here. I'm gonna take this tool and I'm just gonna kind of tuck this edge in here. I'm gonna start using some of our other tools. No, not that one. Ah, look at this one. That's the one I was thinking of earlier. We'll go ahead and keep that out. There's also another good one. Ah, there's the one I was looking for. Do I want a tool organizer for my birthday? I have one. What do I need that for? I've learned over time that if you're too orderly with your workflow, if you push orderliness too far, it becomes a hindrance to progress. So there's a line there for sure where you can be almost too organized, where it starts to be a detriment to your workflow. That's exactly why I don't put things back until I'm done working for that day. You know, if you put a tool back in its place every time you're done using it, while it's in the midst of making something, becomes a problem. Too orderly. I'm just gonna push this in just like I did on the other side here. I think I actually I might want to even carve out that section. Let's see, do I have a loop tool? I don't usually carve things out, but every once in a while you do need to. I have this here micro loop tool, which is perfect, will be perfect. So we're just going to take this loop tool and essentially excavate out this area. Where did I get this tiny loop tool? Ken's Tools is the name of the brand. I won it in a sculpting contest. Howdy, Emmett. So it's important to know that when you're designing a character, your rendering of each section is going to be slower than if you were sculpting something that's like already defined. Because each section will have like a phase of exploration where you're trying to figure it out. You're designing it as you're making it. So be sure to be patient with yourself. Allow yourself that time of decision making. Because that's honestly, it's the fun part. That's why you'll see a little bit of a back and forth with me with parts like this, you know, where I will do something, see how it looks, and then decide, I want it to look different. And don't be afraid to undo work you've already done to make it look the way you want it to look either. I like that better. I'm just using the loop tool to make it as kind of smooth in there as possible. Okay, I think we get our hole tools. I think I have them right here. Ah, yes. Oop. circle tools. Gonna need the bigger ones. And we're just gonna define this little indentation we made here. Now the key, if you're unsure, just kind of lightly press it. And you kind of see how it's lining up. Ta-da! Okay, and then we do this. So maybe it's kind of like a speaker. Doesn't it look like a speaker? In the middle. It's okay if you don't get those perfect, just close enough. Okay, now I'm gonna make a little kind of trim around this edge of this here. Maybe some rivets on that trim. Hey, what's up, Taco? Sometimes it's good to leave areas of rest. See, where this sphere shape is nice and clean, and there's not a whole lot of, like, we don't need to fill up every single nook and cranny with detail, you know, so. Maybe I'll do one more smaller circle in the middle. The shape is a little bit off right here. Okay. We're gonna leave the thigh there. Again, there's gonna be more to it, more thinking about the details, more, you know, seam lines, maybe some more rivets. But that gives you the basic, at least fundamentals of how I'm gonna tackle that kind of an area. Yeah. I could see on this area mimicking what we got going on here and doing rivets along this bottom panel here. Kind of those larger rivets. Not sure I would do it along the top here because that would interfere with the movement of the robot. Okay, let's move on down to the lower portion, then kind of the knee, shin, foot area. So the basic design I want to do with this involves kind of like a like a human style shoe that's robotic looking, and then has like this shin plate or shin covering on the front and the back. And then a knee pad that has kind of the joint structure in there. What would you say is a good way to develop this 3D perspective or awareness for sculpting? By sculpting. I don't think there's any other way to do it. By setting out to make something and trying to do it and struggling your way through it. The struggle is what builds that awareness. The mind for it, you know, comes from overcoming those challenges. Until it becomes second nature, really, where you don't even have to. You start off at the beginning of your journey having to consciously be aware of every move you're making, and it's a struggle. It's a feeling of struggle, and you're missing the mark and you're not quite getting it, and then by kind of continuing to persist and push through that struggle, you start to unlock these abilities, you know, that it becomes easier. But not without the struggle. See, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are misguided because they think if they try to do something and they're really struggling and having a hard time, that they're on the wrong path. But the reality is that's the right path, you know. So that's exactly what everybody has to do. You have to embrace that challenge and keep pushing forward. So woodland, yeah, every project will have the hard kind of parts, but it's those parts that every project has something to teach you, because without the struggle, there is no growth and there is no learning. So whatever part you're like, pretty much whatever part you don't like or the part you like the least is probably the part you're growing the most in, you know. It's just the reality of it. Okay, so I want to sculpt his foot here. he's got his foot kind of up on a rock like this. Now, we're not gonna, we don't want to just add clay like this and sculpt it like this, because this will be moving all over the place and be really hard to deal with. We need to create some sort of a structure there. So I think I'm just going to use some steel stick and kind of create just a flat plate coming off of this. Will the brass tubes stay showing? Yes. Yeah, the whole point of building the frame like this was so we can have this, just this tube leg construction, and the arms too, same thing. I just like the idea of this like contrast between this really big clunky body and the feet, and then this really skinny kind of tubing holding it all together, you know, piping. Okay, let's see. So let's get some steel stick. Need a glove. And some steel stick. Oh wait, I have some over here. Dr. Robotnik style. Okay, I'm gonna use I have a kind of a set aside knife for cutting steel stick, because steel stick will get a blade real gunked up and not really usable for anything else. Okay, now I'm a little concerned that the steel stick might not stick to this because it's a slick metal surface. So I'm gonna take this file, or you know what, I'll probably just take a Dremel tool. I'm just gonna Dremel some notches into the you can use files if you don't have a Dremel tool. I just broke my cup. Nice. Oops. I'm gonna use this to make some notches into the metal, so that way the steel stick has something to hold on to. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so that just gives just something for the steel stick to grab onto. It's not gonna slide around now because of these markings we just made. And we'll mix up the steel stick here. And we just want to create almost like just a flat plank that will represent the foot. Doesn't have to be the full size. We don't want it to be the full size of the foot. We do want it to be almost the full length of the foot. And then this will give us a nice kind of sturdy structure to actually design and sculpt the foot onto. I want the armature coming out of his heel. Now, as the steel stick is hardening, I'm going to be tweaking it because right now it's too kind of wobbly to get it to the exact position. But as it's hardening, it's going to get more stiff, and we're going to be able to get it to its actual final position here. So let's actually see. I think we want the foot a little bit. I can feel it getting warmer already. Just let that sit for a second. But we have to watch it because it'll stiffen up on us real quick here. That's what we're going for, more like that. Almost there. Excuse me. So I'm going to demonstrate this whole leg assembly here. And then for homework, we're going to have to do the other leg. So just try to keep that in mind. You can either do the whole leg and then do the other whole leg like I'm doing, or, which might be more recommended, you do each step back to back. So when you do this hip sphere, you're also doing the other one on the other side. You do them both, then you bake it. Then you do both the feet, bake it. You might even just do one foot, bake it, then the other one, bake it. The more you bake it in between, the easier it's going to be to work on without kind of bumping into your work. It's getting more stiff, so we're almost there. Trust me, it goes quick once it starts kind of firing off. I hope you guys are seeing that there's a kind of a pattern to the workflow of making mechanical things, and that if you follow the steps, you can really make any mechanical shape look good, you know. And it does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, you really it's not too hard. See, now it's really stiffening up. I don't know why, but I'm always tempted to give that little curly toed shoe there. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get through the whole leg today. So we'll start with the shoe. I know it's really getting stiff. So I'm paying attention to how the character's standing, like where the ground would be. It's okay if you don't get this totally right. We can make the ground however fit the foot, essentially. Getting sturdy. Steel stick? I know, right? One of my favorites. A favorite tool of my arsenal, for sure. Okay, good. All right, so now we're gonna sculpt the shoe. We're not gonna sculpt the shin or the knee. We're gonna sculpt just the shoe. Yeah. Robot shoes. Here we go. Shoes of a character are always my favorite. One of my favorite parts. I don't know why. It's just so much fun to design a character's shoes. Okay, so start with our clay glue here. We're not gonna really sculpt the underside of this. The only time you need to sculpt the underside of a shoe is if you can see the bottom of it. Okay. Now we're just gonna take a little flattened out blob of clay here, and we're just gonna stick it on there. I think I will wrap the clay around the bottom though, because it will kind of be more sturdily attached. Won't try and slide around on us. Now your robot might have shoes, your robot might have claws, like a chicken foot. Maybe your robot has wheels. Each one you would approach a bit differently. I'd say for the claws, if you're gonna do like kind of like chicken talon type robot foot, you would just you would need to build the armature for that using some small gauge wire. For the wheel, you would sculpt the wheel kind of like this, one side of it. You know, the rim, okay? You duplicate the rim. And then you'd sculpt the tire in between and smush the two rims on the sides, and then sculpt the tire tread. Man, now I want to make a tire. That would be fun to do, I think. Should we leave the tinfoil on the very bottom front? This right here? Now remember, you, after you get done with this part that I showed here, you bake it and then you remove the foil. This kind of like overlapping foil. You can remove all of it, but I wouldn't remove all of it. I would just remove the overlapping bit. So I'd take a knife here, you know, and I would cut the edge. No, I wouldn't remove all of it. And then you add a layer of clay down here and you sculpt this area and detail it however you want. Like I was saying, you could add like a little porthole for oil changes and you know, just inner work. This is a good spot for actually for greeblies. This is kind of like undercarriage area. So imagine like the underside of a car or something, you know. Okay, so now we're going to design the shape of our foot. We got this base layer of clay stuck on here. We want to discover the shape of our foot. Just glance at our reference here and get some ideas going. Okay. So let's add some material onto the nose of the shoe here. Let's add a little bit on the heel too. Like so. A little bit on the side. Okay. Got our mass added. Now we use our shaping tool and we're going to just kind of push it all around, blend it all together. Going for like a space boot look. All-terrain boots. All right. And now we're going to switch to our metal edge tool here. Start establishing our planes. Our edge will be the bottom here where the tread of the boot will be. That's the edge. So kind of pull the excess material down. You always pull the excess material down to that cutting edge. Okay, like this, and I'm gonna roll it up. I like how that looks. All right, we're gonna roll with this design idea of this kind of sunk in smooth area. Maybe raise up this exterior a little bit more. I did run into the steel sticker at the end, so I'm gonna extend this. Okay. Yeah, it should be fine. You can take a file and score some, if adding some like lines always helps. If you're worried about it. It's more of the like slick metal surfaces that are usually the problem. Okay, I'm gonna cut this kind of edge here. All right. Just clean out this middle part here a bit more. Just using the width of the tool to kind of come up with this design. A nice toaster-shaped shoe, my friend. Okay, now I have this plane the way I like it, over here, this one. And I want to get the side of the shoe flat. So I'm just going to make sure to use this tool, but I'm going to push this way, away from the part that's already done. So like this. You're always doing that. You're always pushing in the direction, kind of like towards the sloppy side of the project, kind of like the part that's not developed yet. Because if I were to push this way, it would mess up all this work that we just did here. Redefine our line there. Our edge here is getting a little wonky, but I think I'm going to cover it up with a kind of like a bulked boot edge. Okay, so I got this plane nice and flat, and I look over here and I could see an obvious like indentation. That would be kind of too much to kind of smooth over. So we're gonna add some clay. A little bit more blended in here. Paying very close attention to our planes and not caring about the sloppy edge there. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Now let's do the back. Pushing the excess material downwards because that's where the edge will be. The cutting edge. The cutting edge of clay. Good. Now, get to find that bottom line now here. I'm not going to cut it just yet. We're just going to define it. Okay, this side's definitely looking really nice. There are shapes. Okay, so I think we're gonna have to not get all the legs done in one go. I think that gives us plenty to work on. Essentially, we'll finish the foot. However, you know, at this point, it's just more of like cleaning up and then adding some details and adding the tread at the bottom. I'll do that. To finish detailing this hip kind of area and the waist and the undercarriage of the waist. Then have that all baked and locked in, and then next week we will do the knee and the shin kind of plate. And then possibly the neck. We'll start working on the neck if we got time. So yeah, I will, I'll do a homework session live. I think what we'll do from now on is there's just a lot of work. I don't want to get past these parts really quickly and then regret not taking more time to do the design work, you know? So, I'm going to go and I'm going to work and finalize and detail all these areas live. And then we will save those work sessions as like homework sessions. And then that way, if there's like a little detail or element that you're wondering how I did it, you can go and find that and watch it. I think that's just the best way to move forward with that. So we have like the instructional time where I'm just demonstrating how to do all these parts. But it's just too hard to, like, if I tried to detail it and texture all of it in a class, you know, a 2-hour stint, it's just not enough time, you know. So there's always going to be details that will have to be done in between, and I think the best thing to do is just to do it live, and then save those live streams as like homework sessions or workshop sessions. So. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. So that's going to end the teaching part of the class today. Yeah, because boy, we got a lot of homework, so we're gonna have to do some homework sessions this week. I need to finish my head, which I know you guys have yours finished. We need to do both feet and both hips and the undercarriage area. I also need to produce greeblies, so more greeblies. So I got a lot of work to do, and we'll tackle that this week, and that way next week we can start do boots go higher? Well, they kind of roll into the shins, so imagine we're doing just the foot of the boot, not the whole. I'm doing if you remember on the sketch, it's like these kind of like shin, like high top boots that go all the way up to the knee. but we're doing the foot of the boot first, and then that way when we come over with the next layer of sculpting, it just kind of lays right over it and has that natural look. So, but yeah, it's exciting. It's nice to see kind of those robot-y legs coming to life. We covered a lot today, so we're gonna jump over to Discord and we're going to give feedback for anyone that has submitted anything. In this class, we have like a whole start to finish creation of a character. This is the third one we've done. The first one was Woodland Gremlins, and the second one is How to Sculpt a Dragon. And then this is the third one, How to Sculpt Robots. So you can follow along these classes anytime you want. You can find playlists over on YouTube to follow. And you can post each week, even if it's for one of the other classes over on Discord, you can post your work and get feedback from me each week. So it's also worth mentioning all the information for the classes are on Discord as well, like the tools and material lists and all that fun stuff. So, but anyways, let's jump over there, shall we? All right. So we'll start with the robot class, and I think I scrolled ahead a little bit, didn't I? Okay, I remember seeing this. Oh, that's not a bad idea. That's a really good idea, Clayton, with the labeling, just etching it into the back so you know what it is. I've made enough greeblies to know that it's also good to categorize them. You know, like you could have all your mechanical greeblies in one like little bin, and then like skulls in another, or bags, you know. Yeah. Okay. Now I saw this, but it wasn't on stream, but this looks really, really good, Levita looks. Very cute. Got that like Pixar-esque robot look. Lots of greeblies. I could totally see one of these being like stamped on like an old like an old rusty dented road sign that was like patched onto the robot or something. Lots of greeblies. Let's see. Very good. Making use of the gears. That's good. Little panels. Nice. And remember, it takes, you have to develop a sense for this, but there's certain ones you'll want to duplicate and certain ones you'll just want to make one time. Usually you start to learn which kind of greeblies are more universal. Things that are round typically, like a rivet or something like that, is totally universal. You want to duplicate, but something more complex like these panels, you might only want to make them one time because you don't really, unless you plan on using it for future projects, but you don't need those type of panels very often. So just something to think about. A couple of hips and shoulder pieces molded, and I made the dangly eye. Won't be actually okay. Yep. And so what I showed you guys today, you can totally incorporate these into the design. So that part on the side where I made this dent and then I kind of filled it in with just circle tools. All you would have to simply do is just stick one of your things you made here, one of these guys. You could just stick it right in there and call it good, you know. Yeah, so awesome. Very nice. Yeah, because imagine trying to sculpt this shape and this detail inside of this part, you know. It's so difficult to do it that way. So you have to think of this in this mindset of like, let's make these small complex pieces first and then just kind of stick them into the clay, into these larger areas, you know. Looks good. Okay, and then we got Mr. Jones. Let me turn this off so I can see your guys' name. RKIC has been in some pretty serious scraps, but you should see the other guy. You know what they say, they sure don't make them like they used to. He keeps on going. Use some of my new Green Stuff World Greebly makers to do a little bit. More to come after big stuff added. Okay. You know what? Next week I'm going to get into probably the tubes, making of the hoses and the tubes. And I'll show you guys how to make them either with the Green Stuff World. Oh my goodness. He's been through a lot. Oh man, that's nice. Like robot, it's like robot guts. Poor guy. He's still hanging in there. Very nice, Jones. This is looking really good. Now, Jones, when he paints his, he's gonna want to get some of this stuff right here. This is the rust. Dirty down rust. It's expensive, but man, oh man, is it worth it. Especially for something like this. It's like an effect paint like this can make the project just come to life. So, yeah. Okay, my head is done. Okay, and done many greeblies. Still fighting to get the torso smooth. Probably on my third and best go now. So started the detail work. Still need to straighten his one leg a bit more. I tried using Cosclay separator to make some cog molds. It didn't work, but they came out yellowed. It did work. Okay. But they came out yellowed. Is that normal? Or okay, yes. I think we solved that mystery. That's looking really smooth and clean and nice. Nice job. I like it. Yeah, the antenna. Back panel. Very nice. Ooh, greeblies. Okay. Yeah, that's really... Wait, so this was gray clay that turned this color? I think we learned that they were baking it on a piece of ceramic or something that might have been heating the clay up more, but that's weird. No, orange is okay. All right. I was like, oh, that really discolored. I can see it right here though. The slight discoloring, that's fine. That's totally normal. Actually, you'll see in some of my bigger projects that I bake many, many times, those first layers start to darken, start to turn kind of colors. Yeah, so don't worry about that. That it doesn't affect anything. Nice. A nice set of greeblies for sure. These are like assets. They give you designing options, you know. So I'm gonna produce some so you guys will see how I kind of implement them in the designing of like the next stages. So sometimes you'll see like an area and you know you need to make a certain greebly. Other times you'll just kind of use what you have and just kind of fill spaces that you want to fill. So good. Looking good, guys. Nice work. All right, we're gonna go head over to the dragon class. Looks like there's something going on there. Let's see. Saradini. Still don't have any more cosplay to complete my dragon wings and tail, so I decided to work on the structure for the base. It's meant to be a dog/dragon bed and will have a wicker basket look. Okay. I don't have a dog, so I don't really know how big the bed should be compared to the animal that sleeps in it. That's a good size, what you got going on there. Yeah, it's looking good. I would bend these outwards a little bit more, so just too small is just right. Yeah, for dogs. You'll see big dogs laying in tiny little beds all the time. But I would make the wires more like this. Right now you kind of got them straight up like this. I would bend them out more like that, and that's more of a typical bed shape, that it kind of flares out up at the top. So you could even make a real interesting design by actually having a little bit of a curve, not like a straight line, but like, you know, like a little bit of a curve like that, you know. So it's got that nice kind of whimsical curved wicker basket kind of look. All right. Oh, all right. Deeds here. All right. I wonder, is that actually part of the project, the skull there? Ooh, that's a nice clean page work there, my friend. That's a nice looking book. Oh yeah. That's a nice piece of wood there you got for the base too. Dragon's looking great. All right, painting phase. There we go. Okay, I think that's the last photo. Nice. Have we seen Deeds? I think this might be the first post by this person. Boy, yeah, it's looking really good. Awesome. Nice work. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. He has had a few issues, but I'm so pleased with myself. I've never sculpted anything before, and painting is way different than on paper. Steep learning curve on all of it, but I think I may have him finished soon. I'm looking forward to following the Gremlin course. Thank you so much for doing these lessons. Yeah, really great job. Fantastic work there, Deeds. Yes, and it is. Remember, you're facing your hardest boss fight right now at the beginning, but it does get easier. And you will feel exponential growth after you finish projects, I'm telling you. So after you finish this one, when you start the Woodland Gremlin one, you're just going to be so much more confident on all the different steps. Of course, you're still going to struggle, but you'll see growth. You'll feel it. Trust me. So, but this is a great, wonderful starting place. So nice. Keep it up there, Deeds, Mr. Deeds. Okay, first hand didn't go well, so trying again. Sorry, been busy with family and not much progress. That's all right. Nothing to be sorry about. You're just gonna have to pay for the class again, PB. I'm gonna have to fail you, and you have to start all over. So whatever you've sculpted, I'm gonna need you to smush it, throw it in the garbage, and start over. How dare you? This is good. It's a good looking hand. Really nice. Hands can be a pain in the butt, but they can also be, once you really get them to look right. Is the thumb okay? Okay, so the thumb is a little bit swollen. That was one thing I was just gonna point out. See this bulge right here? It's too bulgy. So you need to flatten it out a little bit there. Where, it's good that it has a little bit of a puffiness to it, but not that much. That's like he got stung by a bee on his thumb kind of thing. That's what that is right there. So just tone down the bulginess. Now, or you can build up, see this pad right here? This is kind of like the thumb pad. If you add material there, that'll make this crease less, and it'll look more kind of, it'll look better. So you can either add material to the meaty pad here, which will kind of bring that all kind of in a line, or you kind of smush down this bulbousness, and that'll fix it. So Not a lot. It's very close. It's just a little bit too puffy. A little bit too much puffiness. But it really looks good. It really reads well right here. You know, all your anatomy and stuff like that. So, wonderful. A fine hand indeed. All right, on to Gremlins. All right, we got Jones here working on his. Let's take a look. Lighting his candle. It's so funny, but it's so interesting to me that you can just see, like, everyone has a very unique style almost right away. You know, like, without much experience at all, I can tell. Like, you could put Jones as a robot and Gremlin in the same room, and I could tell that Jones made both of them. You know, it's the same for all you guys, to be honest. Just like a unique, a uniqueness. Awesome. Hey, this looks really good, Jones. Man, yeah, it's coming together real nice. I like the little Indiana Jones wicker basket. All right. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, that's a game changer. Wow, look how much he came together with that beard. All right. Now the ears might be a little bit on the thicker side, which can be an issue. Which I know, I get it. Ears are difficult, but it's a little hard to tell from just that one angle. I'd have to see more angles. Yeah, cool. Lots of good detail work, man. That's exciting. Jones got past the hands. It's like everyone gets past the hands, and it's like, you know, it's like the hands is the top of the mountain on the Gremlin project. And then once you get to the top of the mountain, you can have a nice steady downwards walk to the finish line. Oh, here we go. Here's some more. Okay, I see. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that works, man. It really does. So, the back of the ears don't read too well for me. So I would do another layer of sculpting. I know I was talking about the thickness, but you can hide the thickness by you kind of you add clay onto the back and you feather it out to the edges. You know, so it's like the edges still have the same thickness as they do now, but you're gonna add a little bit of material in the back there. And you're either gonna sculpt this and make it just a smoother shape, or you can do fur on the back of the ears and cover up just cover it all up, which could work for your character too. But yeah, I could definitely see, especially this kind of indented shape. Just kind of add some clay glue on there, add a little plop of clay, and just make it, clean it up, make it look nicer. The other one looks better, the other back of the ear. It's hard to tell from that angle, but it looks better. But yeah, this looks really good. I like the way he's coming together, man. I like the motion too, the motion in yours with the pose and whatnot. Look at that. It gives me like a Hagrid-esque vibes. Okay, this dude's been my primary focus for the last 2 weeks, nearing the finish line for the sculpt, working on the base, and next goal plus a little fun surprise. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, nice little addition. Some feathers. A little mixed media. Oh, that's his pipe, an acorn pipe. Nice. Okay, hold on. We got something going on in the back of the ears here. Is that some fur? Oh, okay. You did do fur. Okay. All right. I could still see. Let's see. Let's go back here. So I still would like you to clean this up right here. This little inconsistency. Just a little bit of clay there, and you can just smooth it over with your thumb, and it'll look much nicer. All right. Nice work. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a wonderful class session. Sorry we missed the last two. Just a lot of craziness going on around here, but we're settling back in, which is good. I'm going to get out of here and finish off my weekend. I will be back tomorrow morning. We'll be working on the female anime character in the morning, and Lizelle in the evening. That's what's on the lineup for this week. So, I might, maybe it'll be the evening streams this week, where I will work on the robot because I need the time. So maybe we'll borrow some of the evenings to do robot homework. But don't worry, I will add those. I will highlight and save those streams and add them to the playlist, and just kind of mark them as homework sessions. So, is there a reason you made the hole in the back of the robot so large for the wire? Just to get it through without having to fight it. And really, it's also because this cavity is going to be so big. We're cutting this whole back region open anyways, and hollowing out the middle anyways, so I just figured I'd use a bigger drill bit. So if I wasn't doing that, I would be more like definitely use a smaller drill bit. You don't have to use a big one like I did. But anyways, yeah, let's find someone to raid. Thank you everyone for joining me. Thank you for the support. Glad, thank you for the raid. Zeus, thank you for the gifted sub, my friend. I appreciate that. Was it two? It was just one gifted sub. Okay. And let's see. Let's find a raid target. There's not a whole lot of people on right now. Gundy. Can go raid Gundy. Yeah, let's go raid Gundy. All right, my friends. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.